evening, folks. It's Captain Leon Devlin. We've got Captain Scott here, co-host for Check-In Tuesday, and we've got Devlin there.
Hello. How are you, gentlemen? Good to see you guys again.
Cool. You may pause a second, so think your thoughts. Check in with yourself, maybe. I'm going to try and go live on Instagram. Okay. Can you see me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. All of the above.
That's a start, isn't it? That's a start.
All right, we're doing good.
Technology.
Like a technology show. We're so advanced.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of people on LinkedIn that wanted to be involved. I think that was a start, Captain Scott, is we did Instagram, and I think there's a TikTok generation, an Instagram generation, a LinkedIn generation. It's like, we were stuck in the Instagram world, so we're spreading our wings a bit.
Yeah. Well, I think we all started in the Facebook world, and then we moved on to Instagram and the TikToks, and now LinkedIn is the only way forward for business, I think.
Yeah, it really is.
Urgence.
It really is.
Yeah, I do like that. It sort of fluffs out all the nonsense of dancing dogs and cute kittens and stuff, and it actually just focuses on actual business and enterprise and industry. So no, it's great. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I do too. There's no politics, no opinionated stuff. I mean, there's some opinions, but there's no it's all just trying to connect with people. It's really good.
Somebody's phone ringing?
Yeah, I have it turned off on my phone, but it rings on all my other devices, and I don't know how to turn it off. So there's our technological.
There goes the technology part of the show. Yeah,
exactly. All right, folks, let's check in Tuesday. I'm a little bit more relaxed today. I'm growing my beard. My hair's a bit off. I'm just having a couple of days off here before I start my Alaska season unbridled. Introduce yourself. I think we all know Captain Scott from Yachtie Real Estate Investor. But Devlin, All Safe Yachting. Do you want to run through and give an intro to yourself? I'm sure people know of you anyway.
Yeah. So I'm as Devlin Cathey, ex-yacht chef. Was in the industry for over 13 years. And then started All Safe Yachting about 9 months ago now. Just realized there was a big gap as far as crew safety, crew wellness, crew protection in general. Started All Safe Yachting, which is now we've got a panic button that you can activate anywhere in the world. We have monitoring stations in the US and Europe. The nice thing for crew is that it's you upload your entire profile with an image and your medical history and height, weight, eye color, hair color, whatever you want, tattoos. And then all of that's sent immediately as soon as you push the panic button. So, it's just, even if you can't talk, if you're in a situation where you can't actually, initiate a conversation with the emergency responder, they have all your information, they get your live location, and they can escalate the situation as they see fit. So that was our big goal, was to protect crew sort of anywhere in the world, wherever they are, whatever they're doing, on the boat, off the boat, it doesn't matter. And then, it's kind of just taken off from there. And the more I've gone out and been talking to captains and management companies, and the more need we've just found that, we've got to do something about the sort of the environment for the crew on board. And, this is probably one of the best industries in the world for any of us to work in. And it's just, I think there's just a few little gaps that need to be fulfilled up that will just add value to, well, not only to the crew's sort of, to the crew's experience on board, but to the owners and captains. And, the way, if I think a lot of this stuff gets lost in translation as to how things are going and why crew leave. And, I for one know, working on boats, that, maybe the captain wasn't the greatest. And then the owner would come to me every time and go, Dev,
Captain's always the greatest. What are you talking about, Devlin? You chefs?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Present company excluded, obviously.
Checking Tuesday. We're meant to feel good about ourselves today.
Sometimes it happens. I know this is very hard to believe, but sometimes the captain is not godlike. I know.
You know that joke, Captain Scott? You're looking well, by the way, Captain Scott. You know that joke about what's the difference between God and a yacht captain?
Yeah, the captain doesn't know he's not God.
No, God doesn't think he's a yacht captain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Same. Yeah.
No, but
yeah,
this is Check-in Tuesday. So we're talking about crew wellness and crew safety.
Yeah.
It is a serious matter. And I fully agree, Devlin. A lot of it does come from the type of leadership you have. And as a captain, we're in this world that we're not really in. I'm not going to say not trained for, because we understand safe navigation. We understand crew dynamics. But we're not trained as leaders per se to manage so many facets that come at us. And the mental,
and it's the difference is as well is that you go on land, and if you had a multi-million-dollar company like if you guys are running a $40 million company on land, they would have an HR department. But never mind that part. There's also the whole aspect of we're not just taking people from different parts of the world and then making them in a high stress situation. We're putting them in a high stress situation, in isolation, away from their friends, away from their family. They can't separate from the other crew at the end of the day. There's just so many factors that add on top of this. And there's just never been a real hard look at it, like what is going on and what can we do just to alleviate some of that pressure. There's not, I'm never going to, I was a chef on board, and I did charter boats, for many years. I understand I'm going to have 18-hour days, and I understand that I'm going to have some of them 14 days in a row because we have back-to-back charters with no turnaround days. But there's tip money at the end of that, which is fantastic. Yeah. So, these things are going to happen, and I don't like a lot of the talk about the industry is this, the industry is that. The industry is amazing. What we've done is that we've just unfortunately overlooked for quite a long time the most important aspect of all of this, which is the crew. And as I was saying earlier, my boss would come back from not being on the boat for a few months, and the whole new crew, apart from the captain, myself, and maybe the officer. And he's like, "What's going on?" And do I tell him like, "Listen, the captain's just not very, he's not fair," or whatever's going on, or the engineer left because the captain's working off the budget given by you, and he doesn't get his bonus if he doesn't meet it, so he's not giving him enough money to do the proper maintenance, and the engineer's not prepared to take the boat out, so he got fired because he wasn't prepared to drop his standards. And the owner, what normally happens is the owner comes aboard and you go, "Oh, I don't know, but let's hope this new crew's amazing," you never really talk about it. So
onwards with positivity,
Exactly. This is going to be the best trip ever. But no, it's so there's a lot of obviously there's a lot of we just gloss over most of the things. And
I think in addition to what you're saying, Dev, is that a lot of times it's don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, and don't just kind of people like you kind of keep your mouth shut because you're like, well, I could be the next one, and whatever your personal situation is, you got wife, kids, or whatever, people to support at home. You don't want to be there for an hour and then you tell the boss, hey, because he's asking you an honest question, and you give him what not the answer that he wants. Then you're the bad guy. It's always kind of a nuanced approach, but I think there has to be an avenue. Don't get me wrong, yachting is amazing, and it's an amazing industry, but doesn't mean we can't do a lot of things a lot better. We need to provide a lot more avenues, kind of like what you're building out, to where people can have a voice and they don't get penalized for having an opinion about what could make the situation better. I mean, granted, you have that in a lot of jobs, but if you say something like that, that will affect you directly right that day, that moment. And a lot of times you're the messenger, so you go away.
Yeah, and it's so tough. Like we are spoiled in a lot of ways on the boat. I mean, you never have to spend your own money for your toiletries or your food or rent or but there's a lot of stuff that goes on that's just it's I think for too many years it's kind of just been accepted that, hey, you got so many perks, so just suck up the rest, And unfortunately, we found, I mean, as myself as a dad to young kids being away, my worst year was 9 months away from home, and my kids were young; they were both under 5 at the time, and you got to keep going, but at the same time, it causes damage that because we're also macho men, grew up in South Africa kind of vibe. You don't know that there's this thing called feelings.
Yeah.
You start melting down and you start having these little breakdowns. You don't understand them because there's not enough information. And then, you can sometimes implode or explode, or there's just so many little things that add up. And I think, one of the things I've added on to all Safe Yachting is the mental health, which to me has become, it came on as a thing that I really believed in. And I didn't comprehend how big it would get as far as how much the crew love it and appreciate it, because it's while it is AI developed, it was developed by psychologists, like clinical psychologists and psychiatrists, and it's CBT trained. And the reason I wanted to put this on is because it is an AI essential, feedback. It's available any time of the day, anywhere in the world. It's in 22 different languages. And, just for the crew to have this, they have done an 18-hour day or a 16-hour day, just to lie in your bed and just, let it know give it all your feedback on your anxiety, whatever, a little bit of sadness, a little bit of depression. You just give it all that feedback, and then it helps you with breathing exercises or books you should read, gives you daily inspirational quotes, little videos to watch on, mindset changes and things like that. And it's just, I think it's, definitely the world's becoming more aware of mental health. And I think it's something to give access to the crew that they can use this anywhere in the world. I think was something that I really liked, but I didn't realize how important it was going to become, further down the line. To have the panic button as well as this mental health support system is what I call it. It's not, I have to, put that disclaimer in there. It's absolutely no replacement for the real therapy. But when you're away at sea, you're not going to get that hour in the afternoon, normal hour, office hours. This is a fantastic little substitution.
Yeah, I think I support it because, I think third-party oversight, that's kind of my big thing, is I think more people should be looking at the program from a third party, because as a captain, you have a vested interest in success of your team. And sometimes that pressure is what's creating the problem. And, we can all say diamonds are made under pressure and all these positive things. But pressure, sometimes there's a fine line I've learned in my life.
And sometimes you got to take that diamond out, polish it up a little bit, make it look pretty. You got to give it a little bit of attention. And if you don't give that diamond attention, then it's just coal under the ground. No, well, that's another thing that I'm just sorry to keep taking up all the time, but I've started developing a thing called the CSSWA, which is the crew safety.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it sounds awesome. CSSWA.
Yeah. So it's the Crew Safety, Security, and Wellness Audit. And basically what it is, it's something that I'm speaking to flag states about and trying to get, maybe MLC to jump on board. But it's literally all the crew, completely anonymous. It takes them about less than 8 seconds in the morning on a daily basis. And then there's a weekly audit and a monthly audit. And all it does is it follows trends of sleep patterns, whether there's fatigue on board. And obviously being a yachtie, I understand that there's going to be high stress situations like charter crossings where your sleep will be interrupted. You're going to be on watch. You're going to be doing all these things. So there's actually room to include all of these things in. And if your sleep level is decreasing at the same time as you're having a charter, that makes sense. But if you're just spending the week in Puerto Vallarta while you're waiting for the weather to clear and the captain's still making you work 20-hour days and you're not getting sleep, well, obviously that's going to show these patterns. So that's just something that
you're choosing to go out and party instead, and the captain's like, "You're not getting sleep, but it's not me this time,"
Yeah, no, there's that. Sorry, it's a sore point with my current company bringing up captains all the time.
I know. This is like, captains I like to feel good about ourselves on Tuesday, and I'm like, these shit. Wait till I start,
Well, I worked with Captain Scott for a couple of years, so I know he's a good captain. He's not included in all these conversations.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we sure did.
Which program were you on together?
On TCB.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I was on rotation. And so was he.
Scott, when did you notice, like in your state, in your industry, when did you kind of notice it changed from not pushing crew, but to understanding supporting crew is the right path?
Probably
3 years ago.
Probably around last week. No.
Still working on that.
No, I think it's been just kind of a push overall. Just I know with myself that I've kind of noticed that I needed to change the way I do things, probably in the last roughly 10 years plus, probably prior. And I noticed like the changes I made a difference with other people around me. So I tried to kind of implement those changes around, rather than, you know, we all kind of grew up in that same generation and that same look, just harden up, just, you know, just push through, get it done, you know, push it down, way down.
Yeah.
And everything will be fine as long as you just get through it, or what have you. But you know, I would say definitely within the last 10 years, and then when the last 5 years, it started to accelerate more about, I think, you know, it also is coming with the younger generation. Like, people say maybe they're a little softer, but I would say not necessarily soft, but I think most of the younger people I meet, they're a lot more aware and conscious about other people and things around them a little more, not necessarily,
and themselves.
Yeah, and more themselves. Sometimes the situational awareness they don't quite have, because like when we were young, the common sense stuff got beat into our head. You know, that you have to think about every step that you're doing. You know, don't be a burden on anybody else. Be able to handle yourself, kind of thing. And I think that's kind of starting to come together. And I really like that we're having more of an open dialogue. You know, I know there's a lot of groups and a lot of people talking about doing things, but, you know, like what Devlin's doing here is he's actually doing something that's building something. And I'm seeing more of these companies. You know, there's a lot of nonprofits, but I like to see a lot more like business and entrepreneurs that are having it like social impact, like a social entrepreneur, where this is sustainable once it starts making money and it becomes something that everyone adopts. It's a good process for everyone to have. And it's something that I would gladly pay for, because it's going to be for the betterment of everybody. And I think, you know, I like to see those trends, and it was definitely in the last 5 years. And I think we're just really getting started. This is just the beginning of it. You know, we're going from the talking stage to actually doing.
Yeah, well, that's why I put that song. I don't know if you saw the story, the post. A little less conversation, a little more action, and I was like, "That's exactly what Devlin is doing." I'm like, because you know, you are making something that's a change, a physical change that people can take. Because leadership only works when you close the loop of communication, and you get that feedback.
100%.
You know, and you're providing the tools, Devlin, that can help leaders or captains get that feedback. So physically, it's going to be a watch with a call button, because last time I saw it was an app. So I just want to know how it monitors sleep.
You can have both. You can have the hardware, or you can use the app, depending on what you want to do. So you can have, if you're going to have hardware along the boat, like fixed buttons, like panic buttons in the cabins for the guests, and if you wanted to put panic buttons in the cabins for the crew as well, then those are all Bluetooth coordinated through hardware hubs on the boat. But the one that we recommend the most is the app, because every crew member gets an individual app for themselves that's connected to the mental health. It's got man down detection, so if they're working up the mast or down in a bilge, it can detect whether you have a sudden fall, a sudden stop, or you're immobile for a certain period of time. It'll alert everybody else on the boat to come and check on you. We have the obviously the mental health side of things. We have the panic button, and then we have hours of rest. You can check in and check out. And the nice thing about that is that actually helps with, if you want to just make sure your hours of rest are up to speed, but it also detects your location every time you check in and check out. So if you're doing any crossings, you can actually then have proper allocations of your sea time, where you were when you logged in, and it's proof of you were out to sea. It gives you a longitude, latitude. So it actually adds to all of that value. And then we have the incident reporting, which is something that, it's really important for, a lot of the crew that are going through things on board that are, borderline illegal, but they know they'll get fired if they speak up. And so we have an incident reporting tool, which can be.
Sorry, you mean hours of rest or incidents as like?
No, just incident reporting. So like if it's sexual harassment, bullying, even if it's just like maintenance, not getting budgets for, the engine's running at 60%, but the captain or the owner's making you run anyway. and you're like, I don't feel safe, you can make a report, or whatever the case is, you can make a good report and say that you just stopped and helped another boat, and you can make a report, take some photos, add some evidence, the time you rescued them, and how many people you found in the life raft and all that stuff. So it's good reports and bad reports, but it's just the reporting system. It's all detailed, geo-stamped, date stamped, time stamped, and logged in the dashboard. So there's no he said, she said. If there's evidence there and you can log any kind of incident that happens, good or bad, there's exactly where it was when it happened, who was there, what kind of evidence you want to add in. So their reporting system is also very important. But obviously the big thing for us is to have the crew to have a panic button. And to go back to your original question, the crew can have the app, and they can also we do have the silicone watch with the Bluetooth attachment, as well as just the lanyard. So they can have those on them at all times if they don't want to have their phone with them. But yeah, for the most part, the app has got everything in it. That's the one that you can activate anywhere. And that's the one that sends off your profile. So yeah, it's just a really, really well thought out, really detailed piece of equipment that can make a big difference in a crew member's life, sort of anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I think one big point too is people forget, like, I'm on a 58 meter and people go, different parts of the vessel and they're by themselves for a while, a couple of hours at a time, and no one's checking. Deckhands up the mast, someone's up on the forepeak, someone's in the bow thruster. Like the other day, I had a stewardess in the bow thruster and we're doing dock trials. And I'm like, hang on, stop. We're doing dock trials and I got a stewardess in the bow. I know it's only because I remembered. But if someone had a button that could, if they hear the noise, they press the button. And it's like, okay, everyone just stop. Let's regroup, because the point is so many areas of the yacht, really, like engineers, for example, is probably my biggest worry, because they're down in an area, some not trapped, but sometimes they work through, having breaks. And every time I don't see an engineer, I'm like, okay, that's dehydration right there, number one. They're not getting their rest. They're not getting their water. They're not looking after themselves. And I had one engineer that used to faint, and it would happen like 3 times in 2 years. He'd faint. And I'd be like, how are you fainting? And he goes, well, I get focused, and I've always done this. I'm like, this is not a good thing. You don't go see a doctor, it's not a good thing. And it was blood pressure. What had happened is his blood pressure would drop, and he'd fall down, and he was conscious but very weak. And from that moment on, we used to have a 2-hour check-in. We'd go get him for morning tea. We'd go get him for lunch.
Make sure he's okay.
Make sure he's okay, But tools like you're providing are great, Have you seen situations, Scott, in your career where?
Well, I have had a really good friend of mine. He had something like that. He actually fell and he hit his head and he passed away because of something like that. And so something like that you have to really take seriously, because there's one thing that a lot of times people won't tell you what they have going on, blood pressure or whatever, because they're afraid maybe they'll miss the medical or not get the job and stuff like that. But I always try to tell the crew, if you do have anything, please tell me. We can write it on a envelope, put it in the safe, and if something happens to you, or just tell me, I'll keep it in confidence. I won't check in, and we should have that in more accurate medical logs. But a lot of times, I know, especially in the US and healthcare and stuff, a lot of that stuff is used against you instead of used to help you. It's pre-existing condition, and then they charge you more and stuff like that. So I think there needs to be a better overall look at the way we track this kind of stuff. It definitely needs to be private and kept that way, but it needs to be available to where if somebody does, like, blood pressure does go down, you do need to go and check on them and stuff like that. Or if they have an adverse reaction, because we had an incident one time recently where one of the guys on the boat, he had a headache, so he took an aspirin. One of the stewardess gave him something and had aspirin, and come to find out he was allergic to the aspirin. His face started swelling up, and we were on. We made all the calls. Everybody did very well. Somebody run right out and to the dockmaster's office, had a car on standby to take him to the emergency. We had everything vital.
Luckily on the dock.
Yeah, luckily we were on the dock and we had the what do you call it? The epinephrine. I forget what it's called. Yeah, epinephrine shot ready to go, and we kept the doctor on and everything. But yeah, it's something that it needs to be. I didn't even really know that this person had, because it wasn't documented anywhere. And it really, those are the things that I know that we need to be better at. I know I definitely need to. I always ask, but I don't ever insist, because if somebody doesn't want to talk about it, they're probably not going to share it with me until something happens.
Yeah, it's hard, and I'll be honest, like a lot of people out there kind of, don't understand too, as a captain, you can't be involved in everything all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you see someone that's not feeling great, you're actually not the person to solve the problem, because you naturally bring an innate amount of that pressure that makes diamonds. We talked about, Devlin, as a captain, speaking to someone yes, Captain. I'm like, no, well, how are you? We're trying to break these boundaries down here for me to help you. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll have another crew member, a head of department, or another head of department check with that person. Or they'll tell me something and I find out, okay, let's try and support it this way. I don't have to be involved hands-on, but I have to provide the tools for that person to have the space and the comfort, because that's what they're afraid of. A lot of times I've noticed they're afraid of asking for help. But if you somehow find someone who communicates well with them, that they need a break or they need a week off and it's going to be okay, then they go, all right. And you see the body language change automatically.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, Devlin, with the survey. Like, if we are able to track these things, because these are things that we might not have availability to this data and stuff. Like, especially, you can tell usually after charter, everybody's beat, everybody's tired.
Yeah, of course.
Usually a given, but it could be, while we're in the yard period or something, or just in between, maybe they got something else going on. If we had these surveys and we keep it all anonymous, and we see that people are down during certain parts of the year, then maybe that's the times that we need to probably stagger some time off, or do some kind of crew wellness activities, or do some kind of things. If we have that, because like Captain Liam was saying, is we're supposed to have the answers, but yet we don't. So I don't know why it's put all on us, because
well, it is. It's tough because you're the master, and when you're off the dock, the master's in charge of all.
Yeah.
But no, it's so this. I mean, the nice thing with our mental health support system is that it actually gives analytics, confidential and private. So it doesn't give anybody's information. It'll just say, if you've got a crew of 10 and 4 people are talking about depression, it'll say 40% of your crew or 40% of your staff are talking about depression. And that gives the captain insight to go, hey guys, let's have a little meeting. Don't have to tell me who it is, but hey, let's talk about having a couple of days off. Let's talk about going out for dinner, or what I mean. And that's the good thing about the mental health part of mine. The reason I want to do the CSSWA is because that'll keep daily analytics. So over the course of a year, you will be able to pick up exactly when the crew were more fatigued, when they felt more pressured, when they got enough rest, when they didn't get enough rest. And now this is all proper analytical stuff that you can now use at flag state and ownership level, and be like, hey, this is not working. Look, we've stayed at a high risk level for 6 months of the year. So maybe we need to really look at rotation, because this is, and look at the same time as the high pressure, we lost 3 crew members. And then you can start putting all of this analytics together. And this data will make so much more sense into how we can keep better people in the industry for longer periods of time, and also just keep the ones that are here, just keep them as sane as possible, as sane as you can be in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer of monitoring. I know it's going to upset a lot of people. Like, I treat my crew like professional athletes, and I tell them there is a hierarchy because of safety, but we're all athletes on a field. We're all paid to do a job. Let's focus on your roles and responsibilities and perform to the best of your ability. And tracking does help that, not in terms of heart rate, but the tracking you're talking about, checking in, like Check-in Tuesday, checking in, how are you? Monitoring your mental health, having discussions with your family once a week. The biggest one I've learned is budget, allocate or budget time before a charter. that crew can rest. So schedule a rest in before the charter and after, so the crew are aware that can happen. The other one too is also making sure they've got time during business hours to do their personal work, and that's very hard.
That's a huge one.
Crew.
Yeah.
A lot of crew are trying to
huge.
call a bank or trying to buy a house, and then they're uncomfortable because they can't do it. And you're like, chill, go on the bridge, take an hour after lunch, work an hour later, whatever, but find your time, people,
Yeah, that's a really great point, because I've always tried to do time before and after the trip, just to granted what the crew choose to do with it, that's that's a whole nother deal too, but it can be, but I always try to have a day off or something before a big trip so that people can sleep in, or just relax, go to the beach or something, relax into the trip, because if they're relaxed and they're happy, that's going to be the best crew. They're going to do their best job and their best work, because they're thinking, about other people other than themselves, because they've been allowed to, take care of themselves, and I know the better we take care of ourselves, the better we can take care of other people. And I do like that you're measuring and managing people, because that manages all the expectations and everything. And just with more of the data, we can definitely get a lot better. Just, as long as it remains anonymous. Hey, we have 4 crew members that are not feeling well, or, not mentally.
Well, all of the CSSWA is completely confidential. It's completely private. So it's all done by scale of 1 to 5. All it'll tell you is I'm still trying to decide whether I do departments or just do captain, officer, and crew. And then you just push 1 to 5, yes or no. And it only gives the data. It doesn't give anybody's information as to who filled out the data. But everybody has access to it. So you get a much more broad understanding of, how everything's going. I think departments would probably be a good idea, just so we could also break down.
Maybe
you guys are actually, just talking about it, you guys are actually a part of this whole development process.
Well, maybe you could separate in departments and then just also use it as a group, so that it doesn't get segmented and misinterpreted in the wrong way, because the captain's probably tired like the rest of everyone else too, along with everything else. And if you do it all together, then you can kind of see how everybody functions as a unit, and then separate it into departments. That could be, maybe if you can cross-reference the data and filter it, that'd probably be good as well. Like, see how the deckhands are by themselves, see how the interiors by themselves.
And then have it as a boat.
See how they compare to each other.
We've got a comment here. Not sure if you can see the whole thing. Martin has written Nordvel comms. In an industry where safety or personal well-being isn't always followed exactly as it should be, something like this actually sounds really useful. An app like this would give a crew member easier, more straightforward way to report near any arising issues as they happen, without it feeling like a big formal process. It could help make things more open and honest on board, instead of people just keeping quiet or letting things abide and it'll be too late. Did you write that, Devlin, or?
Yes. And what do you think of my pseudonym?
Well, Martin, is it?
Well thought out.
No, that's
thank you, Martin. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you owe Martin a couple of bucks or whatever you got.
Donate to Martin. No, you're spot on, Martin. And I'm not sure your background, Martin, or your industry, but the point of this Check-In Tuesday is just for people to get involved and throw out ideas and discuss, because Captain Scott and I, and even Devlin, we go to these forums. I saw her at ISWAN there in the crew mental health of Palm Beach, Devlin, and and beach cleanup, Captain Scott. But a lot of those, we talk about it, but very rarely do people actually follow up with an actual tool or a solution to a problem. And that's what I like about, All Safe Yachting, same as Wave Wellness, same as even Yachty Minds Matter and ISWAN. All these companies are actually doing great things for everyone to help. So it's an exciting future of yachting for me. It really is. But on saying that, I still see the same amount of incidences. Like, I still hear the stories, and I still see young crew that I'm, even as a senior captain for many years, I'm afraid to, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm afraid to employ these younger crew without them going through this onboarding process, which is really getting longer and longer, because I have to inform them there's ISWAN, there's Yachty Minds Matter. These are the tools you've got. Please, choose one, make a phone call, register, align, because I want them before they even step on board to be so well informed because of the risks, that exist, whether it's my platform or another platform. The risks are real, I think.
100%. No, that's a big thing about this industry is we need to protect the crew. But what you just mentioned there, and I'd like to say, is we need to also make sure that they understand what they're getting into.
Yeah.
There's a big it's not the same as anything else you've ever done. But that in itself does not make an excuse for people to act the way they act sometimes.
Yeah.
There's high pressure, there's lots of money sometimes. And there should be a lot more training in that department and how people join the industry, instead of coming in completely oblivious to how much money you're going to have, how much time you're going to have on your hands, what you should do with your money, how much pressure you're going to be in. I remember a girl coming on a boat, and it was our first charter. And on day one at like 5 o'clock, she was like, "I'm tired." And we're like, that's the problem, because we've still got canapes, cocktails, dinner. And you're going to be on late. So you're probably going to, you got a long way to go. And she was like, "This is ridiculous. I'm not doing it." And we're like, we're in the Bahamas and we're down the Exumas. There's nothing we can do. And she was like, "I don't care." And she just went to her cabin and stayed there until we flew out. And which obviously disrupts the whole team. But it's also, that's why there's a lot of, you got to be really careful with what you look at on everybody putting up their beautiful cocktail photos and beach photos and swimming with the sharks. It's not the 16 hours a day cleaning toilets and scrubbing floors and scrubbing deck.
That's the good part of it, But I would add that people do need to know what they're getting into, because it can be some really, really long days, and like any other hard job or what have you. The best part of it is usually 5 to 10% of it, and the rest of it is a lot of
it's like being a chef. The TV made chefing look like an absolutely glorious profession, but it's an absolute. When you start out, it's like, can you go and chop onions for the next 12 hours, and then you'll do that for the next 14 days.
Well, I'll never forget probably one of the first captain I ever worked for. Like I just got my license and I was working for him, and he was down in the bilge, and I heard this loud explosion, like pow, like a pipe exploding. And he comes up and he's covered in everything that you can imagine. And he pops his head out and he goes, "So you want to be a captain?"
Yeah. Like my engineers, what they do in the grey tanks and black tanks, I can't do that. Like that's how I knew I wasn't going to be an engineer. I was like, even this week they're cleaning the grey tanks, and I'm just like, you guys are brave. Respect to you, But another question. We're obviously mature. We've done this a long time. When you bring in a crew member that is going to apply a lot of pressure, like we talk about a captain applying pressure. Sometimes I bring in a head of department that applies a lot of pressure to that department, but it doesn't really align with the culture you're trying to create, and that creates a whole different problem. Because you've got junior stews or the deck, depending on the department, that are kind of used to running calmly and professionally, and all of a sudden you've got a new chief stew that's stressful, So that's something I think it's hard that young captains and captains don't understand. That is, you have to really control the culture from all levels, because you having a positive attitude, it doesn't help if the chief stewardess or the chief officer has a negative attitude and is saying all these things. So you've really got to balance that crew culture. You mentioned Bayesian, the ship.
Oh, yeah, Bayesian, yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying there was a lot of breakdown in communication. Is that correct?
Well, just from their reports, and obviously I don't want to speak out of turn. It was just something that I was reading an article that they realized that procedures weren't followed. There was very bad communication during the process. It's again, and it's going to be a lot of he said, she said now, because there's no documentation, and that's another thing that it's not the same as anything else. If something goes wrong, it's like working on an airplane. If something goes wrong, you're going down, and if everything's not done properly, there's going to be lives lost, and it's just, going back to what you were just saying about hiring the right people, there is a lot of high turnover, and that's we're never going to get eradicated completely. I'd love to see it slow down a little bit, but the fact that it's such a high pressure entry and there's such, I've always said it's 80%.
You're turning into a bit of a robot there, Devlin. Can you hear that, Scott?
Yeah, it's cutting a little bit.
He's got that robot feel. But what do you consider high turnover, Captain Scott? I mean, like I say a year, I say 6 months is a good season.
Months, yeah, if you've gone through a season, if you've gone through, high turnover, if you've gone through a couple of people, depending on, it really depends. It really depends on who and how. Like if you say you got a crew of 10 and you're losing 2 people in a season, that's 20%. That's a big effect on your overall crew. I mean, dynamic, especially if it's a head of department, but it's tough when you bring in somebody, like you said, that if you have a pretty easygoing demeanor and you want to bring as little stress as possible, but you still want to get everything done, and you bring in somebody that's kind of a hatchet man or a headhunter or a hired gun, and they just go to town. Sometimes you need that a little bit to light a fire under people, but if you end up having 2 or 3 people that leave, it ends up being detrimental to your overall what you're trying to bring to the thing. So maybe
it's a fine line.
It's really tough because each situation is different. Because sometimes when you do that for a little bit, maybe that's what they needed, a little bit of a kick, and then they're like, okay, I see what they're trying to do, and then that guy eases off a little bit, or that lady eases off a little bit, and then they kind of get a little bit of a break. Because I know a lot of times, sometimes we all get go ups and downs, and we all get a little complacent or get a little too comfortable, and we need a little shot or a little kick sometimes to say, hey, we need to make a change and do a little better here. And it is a fine line, and it's a nuanced approach for each different department and each different segment of the crew, and for ourselves as well. Like we need to check ourselves, and it's tough to have somebody to check us when we're in charge.
Yeah, that's why I believe a third party oversight. Like I speak to the owner's, representative, and I try and work with them to check me. Almost. Hey, Devlin.
Sorry, guys. I
always,
it's like you're in Thailand there, Devlin. Like, where are you?
Florida.
Florida. Like you've just shot Thailand.
It's my backyard.
That's nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice and green, man. That's perfect.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful at the moment. Had lots of rain.
No, we were just talking about turnover, how to measure it and what it looks like, and the importance of crew culture, because I think that's a measurable that people forget, and Captain Scott was saying a similar thing.
Yeah, well, I'll send you guys over what I've developed so far for the CSSWA, and you can see that it's
great.
You're going to be able to work out if there's high revenue, high turnover in crew, at what stages this is happening and how the crew are feeling. Because they have a daily. Basically, there's a daily report and a weekly report, and then it'll populate every month. And it takes note of, are you under like a high pressure time? Is it chartered period or is it whatever? And then every morning it's like, how did you sleep? Was it irregular? Was it normal? Is there any stress on the boat? Are there any emergencies happen? Blah blah blah. And it basically records these things.
Yes. No, not enough sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully all of them are no. There was no emergencies, nothing happened, everything was great. But then what it will do is, if you can go and say, well, at August, September, October, there was 4 crew members that left, and you can see that everybody was remarking that they had less sleep, they had less this, less that. There was, there were security incidents on board that weren't alleviated or whatever the case is. And that way we can start seeing that there's a genuine pattern. Because right now, we know there's high turnover. We don't know when it happens, why it happens, which boats have higher turnover or why. So this is something that if we can have it done, because basically what I've done is I've trained it on the same model of the way you maintain your engines or your gearbox or whatever the thing is on a boat. And I'm hoping that Flag State will get involved and be like, well, if this maintenance log is not filled out, come up and I don't want to fall out at the end of the year, the day before. Oh yeah, everything was great. Everybody was happy. No stress at all. I want this to be done daily so that then crew can wake up and be like, fucking, I've just had 3 hours sleep. I'm tired. This is bullshit. You know, we had an engine blowout in the middle of the night crossing the Atlantic. We were all up trying to help whatever, clean up oil and so you had an interrupted sleep. That's fine, but there was a crisis situation. You weren't just made to work 20 hours because the chief officer decided it was a good time to watch. You know, well, that's what I'm saying is we can actually find out genuine logging systems and recording like data that will be able to tell us things in the industry across the period of a year, but you know, before and after every survey, that we can go, hey, there's been everything was at high risk all year. There was 24 crew that turned over this boat. Okay, now the flag state needs to go, what's going on board? You know, it's not if everybody else is running at, you know, medium to low and there's average, and we can also work out what the average crew turnover is. We can start doing all of these things to make this industry a lot more normal. It's never going to be completely normal.
The tools are there, but a lot of times I say the gatekeepers are the captains or heads of department. Like, and that's the reality. I think protecting crew life, PCL have come out and said this is fantastic, so on point. Thank you. I've also put a QR code for Yachty Minds Matter there.
Nice. Sweet. Kelly. Captain Kelly.
Goal. But there's Sage Seas. Paula, she does surveys for crew now before the season where she's doing one on unbridled where all the crew are going to do a survey. And it's not to, you know, it's to check me, absolutely, but it's me being vulnerable, saying, answer the questions, how you feel, and then Paula will put it together from Sage Seas and come up with how the pulse of the boat, like you're saying.
The problem with that is you're a good captain, and I know that because I know you. So you're good at doing something like that. It's not the captains that are willing to do those surveys that are the ones that are going to be the problem, if you know what I mean. So if we can have this as a mandatory system on board, that it's the same way you check your engines, your crew has to check in every day. And that way we get a proper cycle of what's happening on board for real time, not just something that was filled in the night before surveys. And then we can start adjusting as we see fit. And then, you know, bad boats will become recognized and they'll be stopped. And as soon as that owner realizes his boat can't leave the dock because his crew have been treated like shit, he's going to start doing something about it. Right now, it's just whatever. You know, I use my boat whenever one captain runs a race. Well, if it's captain, what if it's not the captain? Maybe it's the owner that's causing the problem. Now the boat can't leave the dock because of the owner. Great. Now we found a solution. Now we're not just revolving the same thing in and out, crew being treated badly, no one's being looked after. And it's you know, I think it's a little bit, it's never too late, but it's been a long time coming. And I just want to see proper systems in place where we can take this data, make genuine decisions made on actual information, and that way we can just provide a safer environment for all the crew.
True. Yeah. But it's up to us to have the day off. So, Devlin, as we're wrapping up, how come you keep taking on more and more? When are you going to – because every time I meet you, you've got a new platform, like a new add-on to all Safe Yachting, and I'm like, Devlin, I'm starting to get worried about you.
On that note, on the Monday before the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, we're going to be holding the Paige Bell Memorial Golf Day.
Okay.
And it's going to be, it's going to be it's going to be a big one. We're taking 2 18-hole courses. You know, we want to get a 75-25 split, 75% crew, 25% industry people, because we want this to be about the crew in memory of Paige. We're going to be flying her parents out, John and Michelle. They're going to come out. John's going to actually play in the tournament with us, although I don't think I'll get a chance to play, unfortunately. I'll be too busy. But, Michelle's going to make a couple of speeches. We're going to have a lot of great tributes to Paige, lots of great prizes. It's going to be a great, great golf day, as well as we're going to have a nice dinner afterwards with a little open bar. And so, we're going to start seeing, absolutely. And then we're going to have a little trophy that, every year people can play for. It'll be the Paige Bell Memorial Trophy. So,
that's what day is it? So we put it in a note.
It's the 26th of October, which is the Monday before the boat show starts. So we're hoping everybody's going to be in town. Everybody's going to be set up for the boat show. And then it'll be in the afternoon, hopefully teeing off around 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And then, we're going to try and get over 200 golfers. And then there's obviously going to be, different little bars and setups and food stands and prizes to be won. And we'll do a little charity auction. And we're going to, it's going to be all about, and then everything we get is going to go to the Paige Bell Foundation, which is all about supporting crew, young crew, protecting young crew. We're going to be setting up, little scholarships for kids to get more certifications, more safety training. So STCWs for young people trying to enter the industry. So yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of good things with the proceeds. But this is I'm really excited to have John and Michelle come and join us for it and make it a really good day for them, just to see the industry and see how amazing everybody is. And let's try and get some really good positive stuff out of this really shitty situation.
Yeah. Raise awareness is the key. And how can people get a hold of you there? I've put down All Safe Yachting. How else, Devlin?
Just for now, get through with me on that, but I will be launching pagebellmemorial.com. The website, it has actually been designed. I'm just finalizing some stuff with the headline sponsors. And once we've got that, I'll be sending everything out. And then we'll start taking applications for more sponsorships and, selling the tea times and stuff.
Question though. How do you relax, Devlin? What's your check?
Oh man, I got two small kids, 10 and 11. So I love spending time with them. Tonight I'm going to go. My son's got flag football. My daughter loves just chilling and swimming, and she loves Nidos at the moment. So we go and do a lot of Nido shopping. I don't know if you know what Nidos are.
No, what's Nido?
They're like little squishy toys. I don't know. But it's a whole big thing. And she's every time we got some free time, she's like, can we go Nido shopping? Because they sell out immediately. So we go to like Barnes and Noble, CVS, Target, and we go everywhere trying to find them. And sometimes we find them, sometimes we don't. So that's been our little thing lately, is going Nido shopping. But no, and then my girlfriend and I, we love just chilling and, relaxing. There's 4 kids between us. So there's a lot of busy. There's lacrosse, there's theater, there's baseball, there's flag football. But yeah, I love the kids and I love spending time with them. So that's, I do miss golf quite a lot. I haven't played a lot. I played 1 game in the last 4 months, but that also used to be my big little stress reliever.
Yeah.
Just play some golf and get, and I'm really enjoying therapy, which is a funny thing to say, but, obviously I started therapy because I had some issues going on mentally with my, just trying to find myself calming down and that. But the more I've got into it, the more I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed group therapy, one-on-one therapy. Just the more you find out about yourself, the more you can improve. And it's been such an incredible...
I've done group therapy. I've done it with a gentleman called Gap Counselling, Gary Napier.
Okay.
I had him on a captain's chat one about a year ago or something. And funny, we were having this chat and we got on really well. And then he reached out again a week later, and we end up every month we touch base, and it is therapy, but it's really helpful because he kind of reminds me it's like my check-in once a month, how you're feeling. And then he always reminds me that, well, remember that thing last month that you thought was very important? You didn't mention it this month. And I'm like, that's a good point.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. And we have a group of guys that meet not far from our house. It's called the Lunch Bunch or the Lunch Express. And, we just, every day there's a different topic. And, sometimes I can relate heavily. And some days there's no relation at all. And I just listen to the other guys talk about their relationships to it. And it's just, you know what it is? I think it's what I realized after about a month of doing it is that it's that human connection you don't get that often anymore. So nowadays, everything's so just brief and it's so surface value that I feel like sitting there and listening to these guys talk about some of the dark times of their life. And sometimes the very positive thing, you just feel so much more connected. Like, it's like, wow, that's a real person. I'm having real emotions. It's not just, hey, what car do you drive? Hey, what job do you have? It's like real feelings, real deep emotional conversations. And I think that's been something that, I don't know if I was missing it, but it's been something that I'm really, really enjoying.
Well, that's how Check-In Tuesday started, with Captain Scott and Henry and Captain Kelly. I think we all kind of got together and it was just like, check-in each Tuesday with everyone, and then I do text and WhatsApp and how's things, and it's fantastic.
No, the human element, and it's what we were briefly talking about, how I love now how much more at the forefront mental health has become. Because I can tell you right now, I grew up and I was I used to do boxing, played rugby, I did all the boy stuff, and I didn't even know that there were feelings to be had. It's like I didn't even know that these emotions existed. I was either really happy or really pissed off. Those are my 2 emotions. And then, as you get older, you find out all these things, and it just, you become a different
You're either
person.
calm or you're angry. You're calm or you're angry. I'm like, hang on, there's got to be more to it,
No, but it's just, and then you have kids, and then you realize that love was something you had no idea about before you had the kids, because this is a whole different level. And then, and then something happens to them and they break their arm at ice skating. And now you've just gone into a whole panic you've never felt in your life before. And it's just, I love this growing up with emotions and feelings and finding out more and more about yourself as you go. It's just been, and then as you say, I think I love this Check-in Tuesday. I try and watch it as much as I can. I love just get out there and speak to real people. I always say, find your tribe, the people that really want to talk about stuff. Like I've stopped drinking a little while ago, but I still go to the bars for people's birthdays. And I just, if someone wants to just talk about, I don't know, the sport on the TV, I kind of get lost really quickly. I want to talk about how you're doing, what you've been doing, what the kids up to, like, how are things really going? This surface level, as I said, what car do you drive, what job do you have, how the Dolphins doing. It gets old really quickly, and it's great for strangers. But I want to talk. I want to have some real talk. I want to have some real good, deep conversations, and see. I want to know how people tick, and I love when people ask me questions because I'm not scared to give any answers. And it's just been. I think that's been a big enlightening for me is finding out, because the more I talk, the more I find out about myself, and it's been an incredible little moment for me. And I didn't realize I'd enjoyed it as much as I have been. So that's my kind of cool little calm down
thank
session.
you for sharing, Devlin.
Yeah,
I know
no
product's important, and all safe yachting is a big part of yachting community now, and everywhere I turn I see it, which is awesome, and I'm looking forward to working with you on Unbridled. But it's more about the people behind it, and that's like Captain Scott and I, that the Check-in Tuesdays to understand the value of people, and how we can help each other. You know what I mean? So
I love you,
Captain Scott. What do you got?
Well, all I wanted to say is, I wanted to piggyback onto what Devlin was saying is, as we get more into this AI tech, social media world, the value of the human connection is much, much more valuable. So let's make more and more of those connections. Let's reach out to each other, take a moment, wherever you are, just go and visit the boat next door, go and visit go and talk to the contractors, go and talk to the people in the shipyard, or say hello to people. Hey, just do it like we used to do it.
Wave at a car that's driving past and see what they do. This guy's crazy.
Well, man, we had a crew barbecue the other day.
What's that?
On Unbridled, we had a crew barbecue the other day, and we had the two boats behind us that we hadn't spent any time with all winter, right? We hadn't seen each other, didn't even know the names really. Everyone just came and went. And then we had this barbecue to start the summer, and the guests, and they showed up, and we met them. And we're just like, how have we not touched base?
Chatted. Yeah.
So now each Friday we're trying to do just drop in. It doesn't matter if we're cooking anything or not. Drop in, say hello. And that's a really exciting thing that I think people forget to do, is just check in with each other. Be human, be authentic,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's lacking a little bit. And I think a lot of people are becoming aware of it now. For a while, no one cared. It's like, I got my Netflix, I got my social media on my phone. I don't need anybody else. And then I think they've started to notice the decline, and now people are starting to go back for that actual one-on-one people. Meetings, which is fantastic.
Everybody went too deep into the COVID rules. Let's all separate.
Well, there are some people that enjoy that. They're like, great, I don't like people. This is perfect. Let's stick to it.
I know that I learned one thing from COVID, that there are a lot of people that should not be left alone ever.
Especially without any strict rules.
No supervision. They need guidance and supervision.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. Get me engaged. That's why I think this winter in Seattle has been one of my hardest winters, because it's like I can only talk to ducks and Canadian geese for so
much.
Long. I'm like, and the Canadian
I don't
geese
think they understand Australian.
And I was like, these Canadian geese, are they going? And they're not going. And every day in the park, I do this walk, and I'm like, hello. I'm like, really, I've got to get out more. I've got to get out.
Today's not the day.
All right, gentlemen, I appreciate you, Captain Scott. I will see you next Tuesday. Devlin, always a pleasure. If anyone needs any,
guys, good to see you again.
Contact All Safe Yachting. Really excited about this CSSWA, correct?
Yes, sir. That's the Crew Safety, Security, and Wellness Audit.
Bring it on. And then Pageborough Memorial Golf for October 26th. Don't forget that. Check in with each other. Safe seas and be blessed.
All the best. Take care, guys.
All right, man.